Welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining us for today's episode of Canal Days. As always, I am your host, Carrie, along with my co-host, founder of the Historical Tours of Greater Holyoke, Robert Como. Our Canal Days series delves into the vast collection of historical sites throughout Massachusetts, with Robert's expertise of the local history as our personal guide. Each episode, we uncover history throughout local communities with historic houses, meaningful monuments, prominent pivotal pioneers, and remarkable remnants, while delving into their seminal significance. Today's episode of Canal Days will be traversing the Summit, Quarry, and Mountain Park reservoirs of Holyoke, Mass. So can you explain where exactly in Holyoke these reservoirs are located?
They're all grouped together for a good reason. They're found on the flanks, especially the eastern flank of the Mount Tom. Not the whole range, they're all clustered together pretty much where the Alpine area was, even though the Alpine area came later. And so I consider them easy to find, but I'll have to put up a map to where some of them are. So one of our goals today is explain why they even exist, and then how you might get there, and how how they're being used nowadays, and then some of the characteristics. But how to get to them first, the one that's a summit house, also known as Loomis Reservoir, is found almost close to the Metacomic Ridge. You know, if you're walking a piece of it, very close to when it starts to go up a hill steeply on that ridge going from a north to south direction, you're going to be able to look down and see it, especially when it's the wet season. And that's the Loomis one. That's the one that fed the house on top of the mountain. The next one, how do you get to that? Well, the Quarry ones, there were two of them, and they were side by side. I'll give you a hint, they're now filled in. So they're at the end of the Quarry Trail, which is part of the Mount Tom Reservation Trail System. And they're almost to the point that they're very close to that quarry. It's not being quarried anymore, but it's still there. But they're about 200 feet short of that to the north. And they filled them in because they were done with the quarry. They needed them, but then they did it, so they filled them in. And then the other one, the Mountain Park Reservoir, of course, in 1894, Mountain Park comes around. You have all these people in the park, and what you need to get them some water, right? You're not going to stay in the park all day like a lot of people did without some water being used. And so they started a reservoir on, I would call it the left side. If you're going downhill on the Alpine area, it's on the left side about a quarter of the way downhill. So if you're going uphill in that area, say going from Quarry Trail to the Metacomic Trail on top, you would pass it. It'd be on the rightmost place of the greenery left by the Alpine area, and about 3/4 of the way up. And it's the biggest one of these three. It's as big as a city block in Holyoke, but the way it's made, it's twice as long as a city block and half as wide. So the area might be one city block, but it's different in size. So those are the three.
And can you elucidate on why they were made and what their purpose is?
The one called the Summit House on the Loomis Reservoir was made to serve the people that were on the Summit House on the top of Mount Tom. There are three renditions of that Summit House. The second one was the most gorgeous and the most traveled to. People got up by taking a tramway at the end of the Mountain Park trolley. They would stay up very often for the day. It was not a hotel, so no one stayed overnight. But you still needed water. If people stayed up there for 6 hours, you're going to need water. If people are going to be served a noontime meal, you need water. And that was via a fairly small reservoir at the base of the mountain towards the north, right where the Metacomic Trail is now, carved into the rocks itself. And the water was still short of the summit, so they would pump it up. they had machinery to push the tramway up with electricity. They also had the ability with an electric pump to push water up. And they don't do that pushing anymore. The reservoir is still there though, and nowadays has a small use. The next one along would be the quarry reservoirs, and they would help the workers quarry. Of course, when you quarry, you need a lot of water. First of all, for the workers to drink, but also to throw onto the quarried rock because all this dust is flying around. And so you had these two big quarries, and they're gone now, but you needed it for a very important reason. All right, so and lastly is the Mountain Park one, and that was to serve the people at Mountain Park. And its first existence was a true park, and the second phase of its development, it was an amusement park, and you still needed lots of water because you had a lot of visitors. And then, even after that, it served a very important feature, and that it served to make snow. So the Mountain Park Reservoir made via a snow-making machine. They would pump water into it from the reservoir, and you would have instant water. Incredible. What a great use of it.
And we will be right back after quick words from our sponsors. Are you fascinated by local history and eager to investigate the obscure treasures off the beaten path throughout the state of Massachusetts? Or maybe just seeking an unforgettable cultural activity for family and friends to enjoy? Look no further than Historical Tours of Greater Holyoke, founded by Robert Comu. With over a decade of experience, Robert offers captivating tours and presentations of historic sites and landmarks throughout the state. Whether you're interested in canals, cemeteries, charming churches, or more, Robert's tours provide a unique and enriching experience for all. And that's not it. You can also schedule private tours tailored to your interests, ensuring a personalized adventure and unforgettable memories. Perfect for families or groups of all sizes, making for an exciting hands-on learning experience that brings history to life. Simply visit holyokecanaltour.org or email bobcat4214 @yahoo.com to book your private tour today. But wait, there's more. Don't miss out on Robert's podcast and video series, Canal Days, where you can dive even deeper into the vital history of the Connecticut River Valley. Plus, for those who may not be local or would rather enjoy on the go, or from the comfort of their home, Canal Days brings the adventure right to your screen. So don't miss out. Uncover the pivotal past with Historical Tours of Greater Holyoke to make your own history with memories that will last a lifetime. Remember to log on to holyokecanaltour.org for more information and secure your personalized experience today. Welcome back to the Canal Days episode of the Summit Quarry and Mountain Park Reservoirs of Holyoke, Mass. And can you clarify what the modern use today is of these reservoirs?
Yes, what they've done is when they lost the use they were intended for, and even the second use they were intended for, they didn't waste the water. What they've done is they connected the one that was called the Loomis or Summit Reservoir. They connected that with a long pipeline. It's not really a pipe, it's an open culvert, and they let a lot of water come out of it to a new direction, down to the Whiting Street Reservoir. So the water that was up there now goes down now. That's because the Summit House wasn't used after 1930. Then the two quarry ones, they never had a second use. They just covered them up when they left Holyoke about 9 years ago now. They just covered them. They're easy for me to figure out where they are because I know where they used to be. But they are two covered up portions about 100 feet long and 50 feet wide, side by side, right off the trail system that's now part of the Quarry Trail. And then the last one, the Mountain Park one, went through the two uses I already mentioned. And that one, once the Alpine area went away, they had that still feed into the Alpine slide area, which had many rides. And then even after that, they connected with a pipeline to go into the Whiting Street Reservoir.
And describe the physical characteristics of these particular reservoirs.
The one Loomis or Summit Reservoir was, I would say, about 100 feet long and only about 30 feet wide, and not very deep. It was cut into the rock that was there, which is pretty strong, and it was pumped up by electricity upwards. The quarry ones, I've already described how long they were. They weren't particularly deep. I would say they were only about 10 feet deep or so. And then the last one of all, definitely still the easiest one to find, I already described, is about 2 city blocks long and about half a city block wide. I would guess is about 20 feet deep. It was cut artificially into soil and rock, and it's pretty easy to find. There's even a platform left. And so these, not too big, but not too small, and lots of uses through the years.
And thanks for listening to Canal Days and our episode on the Summit, Quarry, and Mountain Park reservoirs, and joining us on our journey through the rich history of the Connecticut River Valley. We hope you enjoyed uncovering some of the hidden and overlooked marvels and their fascinating stories that shaped our past in the state of Massachusetts. A special thanks to Robert Comu, founder of the Historical Tours of Greater Holyoke, for sharing his passion and expertise with us. Remember, you can find more information about Robert's tours, book private tours, and explore Canal Days video and podcast series at holyokecanaltour.org. If you enjoyed today's episode, please like, comment, and share. We'd love to hear your thoughts and suggestions for future episodes. Don't forget to keep exploring and discovering the history that is hidden in plain sight all around us. Thanks for listening, and don't forget to tune to our next episode of Canal Days and check out holyokecanaltour.org. Until next time.